Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I know we're all very pleased to get started on a new year, and it is customary for this board to begin each one of our meetings with a prayer by a city commissioner. During that time, you're certainly welcome to stand and join us in that prayer. You're welcome to take the time to have your own prayer if you like, or a moment of silence, whatever's on your heart this morning. We also do a pledge of allegiance after the prayer. And this morning, I'd like to call on Commissioner Sue Leggett for the invocation, and then Commissioner Wayne Outlaw for the pledge. Ms. Leggett.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we give you thanks for this beautiful day that you've created. We are grateful for the opportunity to gather together here. Lord, we ask for your presence as we conduct the business of Nash County. Please give us knowledge, grace, and the divine wisdom that only you can give. All these things we ask in your precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen. Would you join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, I welcome everyone on behalf of the board. We've got a pretty good crowd this morning. That's great. One thing that concerns me, I do see my accountant in the audience, and had never seen my accountant here. Am I any trouble, Griff, this morning? Everything okay? Okay, all right, good. We're now on item number 4, approval of the minutes for last month. We did have one meeting on December the 5th, and you have the minutes in your packet. I'd entertain a motion for any corrections, additions, or approval as submitted at the appropriate time.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve as submitted. Second to that motion, please.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arrington. Any questions on that motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? That motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Item 5, public comment, is a time in which is in the general statute, and of course, I think this board would do it anyway, to allow any citizen that has anything that they'd like to bring to the Board of Commissioners to come forward and speak about it. We do have a sign-up period before the meeting out front, but we're a little bit lax on that requirement, and if there happens to be someone here, I didn't have anyone sign up this morning, but if there happens to be someone here that did come to speak on an item that's not otherwise on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, we'd ask for you to wait till that to come up. But if there's anyone else here that had something on their mind they wanted to speak to us about that did not sign up, that's not covered on the agenda, we'd be glad to hear from you at this time. Seeing no movement, we will continue on. And item number 6 is a service weapon award request. Are we ready to do that?
No, sir.
Sheriff's on the way, okay. We'll move down. Item 7 is his also, I think, correct? Okay. Well, we'll go to item number 8, and then we'll go back and pick those up when the sheriff gets here. Item number 8 is a time that where we give service awards for our employees that have been with us for a long time. And believe me, it's the time each year with this board, I think, feels just like I do, that it's a little bit of a recognition for those employees, but many of them have been here, as you will hear, a very long time, and certainly want to say thank you for them, recognize them, but really and truly, it's not near enough, but we're so proud to have them. And when I came up a week or so ago to sign all those plaques, I guess I'm just driven by numbers. I did add up all the years of service that were in those, and it equaled exactly 1,000, which I think is very, very large number, and it stays around that number, or maybe a little more some years. And of course, we only recognize them in 5-year increments, so there's many more. But we're going to do that in just a moment, recognize those. I did see the sheriff come in, so we'll go back up, if that's okay, to item number 6, which is service weapon award request. Sheriff Stone is going to make that presentation. Sheriff, we'd be glad to have you come up at this time, sir.
Thank you.
And bring anyone with you that you have.
Sir, if you would. Wayne Joyner here, he don't look like a deputy today, he's in plain clothes. 1994, he started his career with the jail. Then he left and went to BLET and was certified as a deputy, worked in every aspect of the patrol area, and then ended up in the civil section and did his 30-year career. What we're wanting to do is issue his pistol on behalf of the service he's gave Nash County Sheriff's Office and Nash County and the citizens of Nash County.
Well, let us get a motion, and then we'd certainly like to do that, but I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of this request at this time.
Move approval.
Moved by Commissioner Belfield, seconded by Commissioner Wilkins. Any questions on that? I wouldn't think so. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Request is granted, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
On behalf of the commissioners, Wayne, we'd certainly like to thank you. And I just found out that your brother does some work for us from time to time. Didn't know that, but we certainly appreciate all your long years of service with the county. Item number 8, Sheriff, is yours as well, and it's, number 7 is yours as well, which is the award of K-9 DACO.
Hey, if you will, bring Daco up. So while he's bringing Daco up, Daco is a German Shepherd born February 23rd in 2014 in Holland. He was assigned as a K-9 for the Nash County Sheriff's Office in March of 2015. Lieutenant David Walker, then a deputy, was assigned Daco, and they worked for 7 years and 10 months. Although Daco can still perform his duties, he has developed arthritis in his hips and has slowed down considerably. This is typical for police K-9s, as most age out after 8 or 9 years of service. Daco has had many amazing accomplishments during his career. To highlight a few of his high-profile evidence recovery, in 2016, he was able to locate discarded clothing that had been worn by a suspect at the time of crime in a large wooded area, approximately 18 hours after the clothing was discarded. The items recovered by Daco were instrumental in the outcome of the case, which contained blood from the suspect and the victim. In 2019, he was able to locate a discarded firearm allegedly used in a homicide in a large wooded area, approximately a week after the firearm was located or thrown there. In 2019, he positively located and indicated to the presence of the odor of narcotics in a particular storage unit. A search warrant was obtained and a large quantity of heroin was found inside of the unit. This was the largest single narcotic locate. DACO's tracking of missing persons and suspects is one of the most amazing skills, notes his handler, Lieutenant Walker. Lieutenant Walker believes that he has done above the national average for people located in his career. And I hate to see him go, but he's pulled a very credible career and did an amazing job for Nash County. And we would like to donate this K-9 to his handler, Lieutenant Walker.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. Entertain a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett. There's a second. Second by Commissioner Arrington. Any questions on those motions? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries as well, sir.
All right. Get a picture with you. Ms. Stacy, would you like a picture with you? Thank you.
Thank you,
y'all.
Sheriff.
Thank you for your time.
Seem to be very well behaved and even better behaved than some of the
He's still spitting.
meetings that I've seen in the past week through other governmental units, sir. What you say, Mark?
Pretty contained. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, he's still smelling around. I got it. Okay, we'll go back to item number 8, which is the Employee Service Awards, and I will turn it over to Anderson Kirkland at this time, our HR Director. And Anderson, how do you want to do this, sir?
Could I ask you and Stacy to come forward and get on the
Be glad to.
Good morning. Good morning. Just to piggyback on the remarks that Chairman Davis said earlier, each year the Nash County Commissioners and Nash County acknowledge the employees who have completed 5 or more years of service to the county. The department heads will be distributing pins to the employees who have 5, 10, and 15 years later today. But at the meeting today, we want to distribute those with 20 or more years. And so at this time, we'll do that.
Service to you whatsoever.
We do have a number of employees who couldn't be with us today for various reasons, so I'll call their name out as well. They just won't be here to receive their certificate. All right, for 20 years, Dale Griffin could not be with us today. He worked in EMS, works in EMS. Lisa Pittman, Social Services.
Congratulations. Thank you. I won't ask, it seems like 20 years, I do not want that for you. Sir, right there, get a picture. Thank you very much.
Crystal Silver with the Health Department. She's not with us today. Sam Weeks, Sheriff's Department. All right, with 25 years, Melanie Eason, Finance Department.
Congratulations, man. Ask you how much money's flowed through your hands.
A lot, very little.
Astrid Gasaway, Health Department. Stephanie Risho, Social Services. She's not. Shannon Lee, Health Department. Marsha Mangum, Social Services. Deborah Puckett, Social Services. Angela Ricks, Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Office. Melissa Whitehead, Social Services.
Congratulations, man. Thank you.
And the next certificate is for 35 years of service, and that goes to Eddie McCoy from the Tax Department.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you very much for your service all these years.
Thank you.
invited them to come back and receive their service awards for their years of service. First is Connie Bryant with the Sheriff's Office, 20 years.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Like a lot. That was good. Like I know.
Wayne Joyner with the Sheriff's Office, 20 years.
We're gonna let you go with this.
No, maybe do 10 more, no, maybe do 10 more.
Can we do that? Keep that just a little bit.
Okay, Frida Joyner, Social Services, 25 years.
Morning, Fred. Good morning. Thank you very much for your service. Your time.
Brenda Johnson, Health Department, 25 years.
Service.
Jan Norwood, Social Services, 30 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, man. Thank you very much for all of your service. How many cases did you deal with in those years?
I had no idea.
I don't believe the last two are here. Jill Winstead, Health Department, 30 years. And Willa Baker, Health Department, 30 years. But we appreciate their service as well.
All right, that puts us on item number 9, which is a public hearing on a road naming request. I call on our planning director, Adam Tyson, at this time to make the presentation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. This is an item that the board first considered back at the November regular meeting. Ms. Nicole Noel, the owner of 4 contiguous properties that are shown on the screen right here, 3 smaller lots and 1 larger lot. Those properties are served by an existing 30-foot wide private access easement located off the east side of Driver Road. That easement is indicated in red here. That's the path from the State Road, Driver Road, back to Ms. Noel's properties. Ms. Noel previously submitted a request to name the easement Simplify Lane. Semper Fi, of course, is a Latin phrase meaning always faithful, and it is the motto of the United States Marine Corps. You'll see from the map that the subject easement also serves 8 properties, a total of 8 properties, owned by 5 separate owners. The Noels, who are the applicant for the naming request, Ms. Tammy Tuck Conway owns this property here on the front left of the easement. F. Terry Kemp down here, Mary Catherine Harris, and Joseph and Judith Bailey. All these property owners own property that is adjacent to that easement. None of those properties are currently developed. The Board of Commissioners previously held a public hearing on this road naming request at your November 7th regular meeting. At that public hearing, 2 affected property owners, Ms. Tammy Tuck Conway, again on the front left, and Ms. Mary Catherine Harris, the right center, objected or opposed the assignment of Semper Fi Lane as the new road name. At the request of those property owners, the board voted to table this road naming request to today's regular meeting. Following that meeting on November 30th, the applicant, Nicole Noel, proposed an alternative new road name for consideration. That new name was Patriot Lane. Both Semper Fi Lane and Patriot Lane have been reviewed and approved by Nash County Emergency Services as required prior to an official assignment. After that date and after this report was prepared, one of the objecting property owners, Ms. Mary Catherine Harris, submitted 3 other alternatives that have been reviewed and approved by the Emergency Services Department. So at the top of the screen here, these are the original submittal, Semper Fi Lane, and the applicant's second submittal, Patriot Lane. Below that are 3 names that were submitted for consideration by Ms. Mary Catherine Harris. They are in her preferred order, number 1 being Serenity Lane, number 2 being Starlight Lane, and number 3 being Gentle Pines Lane. All of these names on the screen before you have been reviewed and approved by Emergency Services, and they are all viable for assignment to the access easement. I was contacted this morning by the other property owner who objected to Semper Fi Lane, Ms. Tammy Tuck Conway, and she let me know that her preference was Serenity Lane. Both of those objecting property owners prefer Patriot to Semper Fi. Of the 2 that were submitted by the original applicant, but also both of those objecting property owners prefer Serenity over either of those 2. The applicant, I believe, is here with us this morning to address the board about their preference, and I have a written statement from Ms. Mary Catherine Harris, who's located out of state, that she asked me to share during the public hearing this morning. And so with that, I will pause and take any questions that the board has on the staff report.
Any questions on the staff report from the commissioner? Ms. Wilkins?
You said none of the properties are developed, so no one is living physically on the properties.
So no one lives on the properties currently. If I can go back to the photo, there is a modular home being set up or in the process of being permitted and set up on this lot right here, which is what prompted the road naming request. And that home belongs to the applicant, Ms. Noel, who submitted Semper Fi and then Patriot Lane. But that is the only home that would be served by the easement and is the only immediate permit that has been issued. All the other properties are undeveloped.
Other
Does she-
questions? Excuse me, go ahead.
Does she plan to live in that home, or do you know? Or
To my
is anyone-
knowledge, she and her husband plan to live in that home.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Mr. Tyson. This time I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing on this matter.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Outlaw, second by Commissioner Arrington. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a public hearing to discuss this road naming request, and if there's anyone here that wishes to speak on this request, I'd ask for you to come forward, state your name and address for the record, and the board would be tickled to hear from you at this time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Aye.
Okay, I had problems with this last time, and I'm still really nervous, but can you hear me?
Yeah, you didn't get any taller since last time.
No, I tried.
Like
I tried.
myself. Understand.
So, my name is Nicole Noel. Good morning, Commissioners. Can I just read this? 'Cause I'm just
Absolutely.
having a heart attack. Okay. So I submitted the name Patriot after the last meeting to be inclusive of all military branches, as was the argument against the name Semper Fi last time. I found out on Friday that one of the 5 owners that shares the easement, Ms. Harris, said that Patriot Way is not okay with her because it can be related to the military or government and may be offensive. I have to say that I really can't understand this again. My family and I are still okay with Semper Fi or Patriot Way, and I would assume because there was only one owner opposing, but now I guess there's 2. I didn't know that. That Patriot was acceptable to the other 4, but now 3, I guess. We started the process of building our home almost 2 years ago. I have never experienced such unneighborly conduct as we have from our new neighbors that don't even live on the land they own. It has been very disheartening, to say the least, and with this process, it continues. Duke needed to get a utility easement signed by at least owners on one side of the easement to run over power lines from Driver to my house, or my parcel. They tried for 1.5 years to get it signed. The Kemps signed immediately. Ms. Tuck would not return any calls or any contact ever. In fact, I was very surprised to see her at the last meeting. We all kind of thought she fell off the planet. And lastly, Ms. Harris just plain refused multiple times after talking multiple times to the Duke rep. My modular house was on the way to the dealer lot, and they were planning to start the foundation, so I had no choice but to write her a letter begging her to please allow us to have electrical service at our home. She finally signed it after that, and the power lines have been installed. During these talks, the Duke rep told me that Ms. Harris just inherited the land and is older and is not planning to move to it. She is planning on selling it. All of these owners will benefit from not having to pay for lines being run to their land from Driver Road in the future. We were going to be the only ones responsible for that expensive bill. By the grace of God, the Duke engineer had mercy on us after hearing and witnessing all the trouble we have been through thus far. Ms. Harris doesn't know that we didn't have to pay, though, so we can't understand why she's acting this way towards us. She lives in Arkansas, and we have never even met her. We are the only ones building our home and had to pay for this road name hearing process as well. At this point, we are offended. She's basically saying that the military members in my family do not deserve even a small honor, such as having a small easement road that serves 5 properties, named in a way that honors my husband, his family, and all military members. I wonder if she understands that the only reason she lives with her freedoms in this country is because of these military members. I have also done some research, and in fact, there are 2 cities that I found named Patriot, Patriot, Ohio, and Patriot, Indiana, and these are cities. So I started looking for street names. I found 10 Semper Fi streets, 1 in North Carolina in Maysville, and 1 Semper Fidelis Road in Olin, North Carolina, and 1 Main Road in Yulee, Florida, and another in Rimrock, Arizona, to say the least. This one in Rimrock, Arizona is attached to a Patriot Way, an Independence Lane, and a Liberty Trail. There are 5 Patriot Drives. 1 is in Charlotte, and 1 in Durham, Patriot Way in Greensboro and Wilmington, and 8 others. 9 Patriot Lanes, 2 Patriot Streets, and 1 happens to be in Arkansas. I still don't see the issue with either of these names, and it seems others have not had an issue naming a street Semper Fi or Patriot. My family and I are planning on building a farm, probably pasture-raised chickens. No. So if Patriot or Semper Fi are not approved today, I would like to submit Noel Farms or leave it Driver until Ms. Harris sells, and maybe at that point we can revisit the naming of this easement road and have a discussion about it with anyone that actually builds a house there and will live there. I would like to restate that this street name would be seen as a small reminder of how proud all citizens are of all our service members, past and present. My husband has served 27 years in the Marine Corps, his sister is Navy and has served 25, and their father served 30 years in the Marine Corps. That is 82 years of service. My husband has been to 3 tours in Afghanistan and 2 tours in Iraq, and he will never be the same physically or mentally as the same with so many others that go to war. And I think this is a small way to honor these sacrifices. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioner? I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against this item? Mr. Tyson, you want to read
Yes, sir.
the written request?
This is a statement that all the commissioners received from Ms. Mary Catherine Harris via email. And Ms. Harris asked that it be read into the record during the public hearing. To the Nash County Board of Commissioners, I am the owner of a property located immediately adjacent to the subject access easement that will be affected by your decision on this road naming request. I want to thank you for honoring my request to table the decision on this matter from the previous November meeting date until today. However, I am unfortunately still unable to attend the hearing in person because I remain in Arkansas settling the affairs of my late mother. You may recall that my concern with the previously proposed road name Simplify Lane was related to its potential association with the contentious topics of the government, the military, and/or politics, as well as its potential impact on the future marketability of the adjacent properties. While I personally value the quality of patriotism, I am concerned that the newly proposed road name, Patriot Lane, may also be interpreted by some as having the same controversial association with the government, the military, and/or politics that could complicate the future development or sale of these adjacent properties. I would prefer and request the assignment of a more neutral road name that would better reflect the natural beauty of the area. To that end, I have proposed the following 3 alternative names for the board's consideration listed in my preferred order. Number 1, Serenity Lane. Number 2, Starlight Lane. Number 3, Gentle Pines Lane. Mr. Tyson has confirmed for me that these alternative road names have been reviewed and approved by Nash County Emergency Services as required prior to an official assignment. Thank you for your consideration of this request, as well as your consideration of the owners of the properties adjacent to this access easement. Sincerely, Mary Catherine Harris.
Thank you. Any questions of staff by the commissioner?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Belfield.
Since this property is in the judicial territory of Middlesex, don't they have a say in this?
They have a say in the subdivision or zoning of the property, but until they were to annex the property, the road naming authority by state statute stays with the Board of Commissioners. So since it's outside the municipal limits of Middlesex, the road naming authority belongs to the county board.
Other questions? There are none. I entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time. Moved by Commissioner Leggett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Outlaw. Questions on that motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Hearing is now closed. Any other questions from board members about it? District this is in, whose district?
Commissioner Cone.
Commissioner Cone. Thank you. Pleasure of the board.
I'll make a motion that we approve the road name Simplify Lane. I just don't see a problem with it. I think it's very patriotic, being the Marine Corps' motto. It means always faithful. Ms. Noel's worked hard on this. She's the only one that lives or plans to live there in the near future, and I would make a motion that we would go let her use the name Simplify Lane.
Have a motion on the floor to use Simplify Lane. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Outlaw, Commissioner Leggett. Any questions on the motion?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Wilkins.
I just want to say, I still feel like this just opens up a can of worms where, suppose someone from the Army should move there or the Air Force should move there, and then they want that lane changed. As I said in our other meeting when this came before us, my daughter is ex-Army, and I know once a soldier, always a soldier. I'm an ex-Air Force wife. My current son-in-law is a Marine, ex-Marine. And so please don't question my patriotism over this, but to me, I just think it is not fair. Just because someone's not there now, the owners, doesn't mean at some point they may move there. So I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkins. Other comments prior to taking a vote on it? Commissioner Outlaw.
Yeah, I just brief comments. To me, a patriot, I think I'm a patriot. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. I served 2 tours of duty in Korea in the 70s. And I think a patriot is somebody that just loves his or her country and is ready to stand up and defend it against all enemies or detractors. The United States Marine Corps, I believe, was started in 1775. Since starting the United States Marine Corps, almost 200,000 of those men and women have given their life. So we could sit here today and debate patriotism. To me, it's a simple situation. These people are living on that road. As an Air Force veteran, I would be honored to live next to a Marine that served 2 tours of duty as this person has. These people that are against this don't even live here. With that said, I boldly support the naming of this lane to be Simplify Lane. And I tell you, we should all stand up and be proud of our military, all branches. Many of those military men and women, when they retire from the military, they go into law enforcement. So where would we be today? Could you walk the streets today without these men and women standing up for our safety and our rights? God bless our military. God bless our law enforcement. Today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And if you see a law enforcement person, you should reach your hand out and say, thank you. I appreciate you making it such that I can walk the streets of this country today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other commissioner have comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign?
No.
Motion carries 6-1. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Tyson. We're now on item number 11, which is the monthly tax report. I'll call on Ms. Sumner at this time.
You skipped
Number
one.
10.
Excuse me. I did skip number 10.
Yeah.
Number 10 is a state-maintained secondary road system addition, Long Branch Drive. And Mr. Tyson, I was wondering why you were hanging around. I should have took note of that. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
I've lost my map up here, if I could get some help from the back. The North Carolina Department of Transportation has forwarded a petition requesting the addition of the subdivision road Long Branch Drive, located off the west side of Land Road, with a Nashville zip code, to the state-maintained secondary road system. Long Branch Drive is indicated in red on the map before you. That's a 50-foot wide public right-of-way constructed and dedicated in the Lands Acres subdivision back in 1989. The DOT requires the adoption of a resolution, which is included in your packet, by the local Board of Commissioners as a prerequisite for the addition of the new roads onto the state-maintained secondary road system. And so the DOT and the applicant are requesting that resolution or approval of that resolution by the board this morning. This does not require a public hearing.
Any questions on this, Mr. Tyson? Having no questions, I entertain a motion for adoption of the resolution.
Move to adopt the resolution as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Leggett, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Name that Long Branch stands approved, sir.
Thank you.
Adam, I noticed a little bit of change in the way this has been done in the past. So you present these and the state people do not come and present it like they have in the past, or is this something different?
Correct. NC DOT District Engineer Bobby Liverman asked if I could present this. He will be the one that forwards your resolution on to the State Board of Transportation, which is the next step.
Okay, all right. Nicole, I know that you're still here. Is there anything else in your process, since you got this straight and you got your power line easement straight, anything else that's impeding you getting your modular put in there that the county can help you with, or you seem to be maybe moving along?
No, actually, now that that's done, like, the house is there, they're just waiting for it not to freeze so they can finish the foundation.
Okay. You got well permits, septic tank permits, everything else you have in hand?
I believe so. I was just going to follow up with him when he was done to see what else I needed to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I will note that in order to keep her permitting process moving along, the county issued a placeholder driver road address, which will now need to be converted to a new Simplify Lane address.
Okay.
But that should not hold up her permitting process at
And to
all.
your knowledge, she has everything else?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, item number 11 then, monthly tax report. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. At this time, I'd like to present the monthly tax report. As you all know, this report is designed to keep the board current on activities in the tax collector's office. The report is for your information only and does not require approval. However, it is recommended that you accept the report so that it'll be noted in the minutes. And of course, if anyone has any questions on the report, I'd be glad to answer those.
Any questions? Don't have questions when you do good work. It is noted to be in our minutes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I have the next item for the monthly tax refunds, and we do not have any refunds for consideration today.
All right,
All right.
thank you for that as well.
Yep, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Item number 13 is the personnel time off PTO policy. Call on the manager at this time to make this presentation to the board.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Currently, Nash County provides employees who work a traditional 40-hour work week with administrative leave that's commonly referred to as admin leave when the county needs to open late, close early, or close for the day due to adverse or inclement weather situations or other emergency conditions. This practice, unfortunately, is inequitable as some employees receive this benefit while others do not. Nash County employees who are essential personnel, such as our 911 telecommunicators, our EMS workers, law enforcement personnel, facility maintenance personnel, utilities, and sometimes others, do not receive admin leave as they are required to work. Admin leave is intended to make an employee's work week whole, and therefore it is not provided to personnel who are required to work regardless of the county closing the offices. In an effort to address this inequity, the Policy Committee is proposing a personal time off, a PTO policy for Nash County, and to eliminate admin leave moving forward. A PTO policy will provide full-time employees with 16 hours each year to address adverse or inclement weather conditions or other emergency closing situations. For essential personnel, it provides fair treatment as they will now have the same amount of time provided to them for personal or other use. Some of the highlights to the PTO policy are as follows. Each full-time employee will receive 16 hours of PTO each calendar year beginning in January. PTO can be used with the approval of a supervisor for adverse weather, other emergency closings, personal business, time lost reporting to work, and for sick leave policy-approved absences. Unused PTO will not roll over to the next calendar year. PTO will not be paid out upon retirement, resignation, or termination. PTO will not be accepted from or transferred to another employer. PTO cannot be used as shared leave. PTO cannot be used towards earning compensatory time or overtime. And new employees will be provided PTO on a prorated basis. As we strive to create equity in the workplace, we feel this policy not only advances those efforts, but will also add to Nash County's benefit package for recruitment and retention. So the recommendation today is that the board approve this PTO policy. It has been reviewed by our county attorney, and I ask for your approval.
All right, questions from commissioners on this policy? Mr. Allen?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brett.
you go.
Just one question. Was there some reason why you would not allow one employee or more to share with another employee that might, within the calendar year, that might have a medical issue or otherwise that would keep them out of work for an extended period of time?
Well, we do have a shared leave policy, and our employees are allowed to share their annual accrued leave
Right.
With others.
Why would this not be included with that? I mean, I'm thinking back on my personal situation when my daughter was dealing with my grandson's kidney transplant. And without that support from her coworkers, it would have just made their financial situation much worse than it was.
Sure, and I do think that with our shared leave policy, we have many situations where employees are helping others out. These hours are intended to fill that gap for the inclement weather closings. So I think the thought from the committee was that we just wanted them to be able to preserve those hours to make sure that they could make up their time if the
We've got
county.
the other covered through, okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you much.
Mr. Belfield?
Following up on what he just said, can, here in Nash County, can the employees use their annual leave or sick leave to help someone who may be running out that needs extended
Yes, sir.
time off?
Yes, sir.
They can, okay.
Yes.
And I was reading this, 15 minutes. I wonder why that was put in there, 15 minutes. I'm just wondering, what can you do with personal time off with 15 minutes?
Well, that's how that's how we manage our timesheets, is in 15-minute increments. So we wanted to keep that consistent with this policy.
That one, I still wonder about, I mean, 15 minutes, I guess they can take it right here in the building, 15 minutes for to do something personal.
Or if they're running late, if they're running a few minutes late in the morning, then they can take it in 15-minute increments.
I don't know, personally, I just think 15 minutes ought to be left out.
Okay.
Other comments?
I had a hard time when I was reading it to get my mind to wonder why would 15 minutes be in there? What can you do in 15 minutes? Now being late, if they're 15 minutes late, or 5 minutes late or 10, I could kind of see that, but overall, I just don't see the 15 minutes being put in as a part of the personal time off.
That's how we manage our timesheets. They're done in 15-minute increments.
I got Commissioner Wilkins and then Commissioner Harrington. Commissioner Wilkins.
Manager, what is the policy now if they are late or, say, there is inclement weather? Are they made to use their vacation or?
If they're late, then yes, they need to use their accrued time. For inclement weather, if we're going to open late or close early or be closed for the day, we have just given administrative leave. And again.
Regardless of whether it's over 16 hours or not?
Sure, yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, I did do a 10-year look back. We have had as little as 1 hour given and as many as 34 hours given. So over a 10-year period, it came up to about a 14.9 hour average. So I feel like the 16 hours is a good amount.
And it's in addition to what they already have?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Harrington.
Okay. I guess I have reservations about the 15 minutes if you're being late. because if you divide that 15 minutes into 16 hours, you could be late many, many times. So I guess I would think that we would need to put a limit on, if you're going to use that it should be at least a limit on how many times within a month or whatever that you can use the 15 minutes as being late, or either that you need to, it need to be called ahead to their supervisor at least 30 minutes or 15 minutes, something. You see something keeping you from being late. I guess just mention that so that, I don't know how many people might abuse it, but at least when you make a policy, you close the gap from being abusive.
Well, I think somebody who is habitually late, that's a performance issue that will be dealt with, with their supervisor.
Yeah.
That, I mean, that's not what this policy is saying is, come in 15 minutes late as many times as you can to make up 16 hours. That's not the point of the policy. And I believe somebody who's habitually late, as you're describing, that's a performance issue and would be dealt with.
Yeah, it would be, but do you have like say, a window that you need to call in 15 minutes or?
Sure, every
before-
department has
Yeah, that you can't
procedures.
just get in the parking lot and then call and say, I need 15 minutes.
No,
and see when
every
you're late.
department has procedures, yeah.
I think the 15 minutes, Stacy, if I get it right, if you come in at 8:07, you get paid from 8 o'clock. If you come in at 8:08, your time starts at 8:15, is that right?
I believe that's correct.
I think that's right.
Other questions?
Well, let's go back to the 15 minutes. I was just, as I was reading that last night and thinking of a situation like up there in Wake County where the water pipeline broke under one of the major, I think it was 440. And they had to shut it down, and they had to dig through 3 feet of concrete before they could even start going down to get the pipe, so it was going to take more than one day to get it done. Does that mean that the people had to take another route? And it's probably, if they're going to work, like, say this morning, if they're going to work, and with the traffic like it is, it's going to make them probably late. Situation like that and wrecks, and we're having quite a few of them now that's shutting major highways down. That shouldn't even count against an employee that they have to use a personal time off in order to get to work. I just, it's hard for me to get it in my mind that 15 minutes is something that we ought to have. Now, I know you say we do things in 15-minute increments, but for personal time off, I just don't see 15 minutes.
Other questions, comments, Ms. Leggett?
Ms. Manager, I appreciate you looking into this and looking after our employees who typically don't get to leave when there's adverse weather and things like that. And I appreciate you trying to keep our policies uniform across the board in our treatment of time. And let's see. Anyway, I appreciate you looking into this, and I think it's very tricky trying to create new policies and new time. And I think it would be great to develop this. Thank you.
Anything else from board members? Mr. Aaron?
Yeah. I do think that it's important that you kind of specify with your directors or supervisors what abuse of this policy limit is, how many times you can use that, mainly being late, and whether, within a month's time, because what it does, it kind of open up a window, say, okay, this supervisor has a favor, or we're going to let her be late, or let him be late. So there has to be a departmental department limit on how many lates you can use this before you're
Sure.
considered to be habitual?
I will address that.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? It appears like to me, my observation of it, it's probably going to be a neutral item in cost to the county, because before, we were closed 4 days due to snow. I mean, most people got paid 4 days. And now they're going to get paid 2 days, and then they got to find another way to get the other 2 days. But then it gives those employees that have to come to work no matter what, the same benefit of the 2 days that everybody else gets. So it seems to be fair. And about the late thing, I can't help but think, spending 18 years in the house with my father who worked at the railroad, he'd always leave 40 minutes on the dot before he had to be at work. And I'd always question him about that. And I'd say, Dad, why are you leaving so early? It's only 12 minutes to work. And his answer was the same every time. He says, the train don't wait for anybody. What am I going to do if I have a flat tire on the way to work? So you can't compensate for somebody that doesn't get to work on time multiple times. It's going to happen to everybody occasionally. But those habitual ones, I do hope we handle it in a different way. All right, if everybody's through with this one, I'd entertain a motion for approval or denial.
I make a motion, we approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner Combs to approve the policy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Outlaw. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign?
No.
Motion carries on a 6-1 vote. That was item number 13. We'll now move to item number 14, which is a pay grade adjustment for EMS to accommodate the 24/72 and 12-hour shift change. And I'll call on Tony Cameron at this time to make this presentation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Hope you're doing well. Today, as we move forward towards the 24/72, we were looking at the salaries, and with the help of Donna's team and HR, we have determined that if we keep everything exactly as it is, our employees are going to suffer. So what we're proposing or requesting is a salary adjustment and the dissolving of the fluctuating work week. Moving forward, going into the work week, our employees are currently working 29/12, and into the new cycle would be 21/84. So if we do nothing, they're going to be paid less. So we're asking for the board to consider doing a pay grade adjustment so they'll make it relatively the same.
All right, questions on this item? Tony, is it just coincidental that moving up everyone one pay grade solved the issue? Is that just a coincidence? I can't relate those two together.
Yes, sir. Me or the finance, Donna, we looked at it, and we looked at 17 employees. And looking at all 17 employees from the battalion chief all the way down to the basic EMT, that's the variance of that. It's not going to be exactly the same, but you're looking at a money difference of $250 roughly to $672 roughly.
And I guess it was just the simple way to fix it and leave our pay system just like it was.
And that's keeping the value with the pay study is what we were thinking about as well.
Okay.
So that keeps it the same. On my understanding, the pay study, when it came, it looked at what an employee actually did. It didn't necessarily address how many hours they worked.
Right.
So we're looking at the same job. So it just makes good sense to us.
And I had a little bit of concern about thinking it was additional cost, but with an answer the manager gave me, maybe this morning or over the weekend, I'm not sure, I can see that we had that money covered regardless because we left full money in there plus the other one. So I'm fine with that side of my question. But I guess we just lucky that you found the easy way to fix it.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I had. Any other questions? Entertain the motion for approval of this request.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, second by Commissioner Bellfield. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, did I get that wrong? Okay, okay. So you're smiling at me like I called out the wrong person, I'm sorry. Keep smiling. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries.
I just got a comment. It's good to know we got competent employees that have things covered, and they can, when they present something to us, they know what they're doing, and I just, it's comforting to know that we got people that can do that.
Thank you. And Donna's team helped us tremendously on this, and I think us working collaboratively together with HR, I think that was the solution.
Right. Okay.
Thank
you,
y'all.
Don.
Thank you.
Item 15 is a detention facility addition and renovation change order, and I'll call on Mr. Boone at this time.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Cohen, I'm going to try not to prove you wrong this morning. I appreciate your comments, previous comments, on that podium.
Well, let's see. I ain't looked at this one too good.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I have the unenviable task of coming to you with another change order on the jail project, change order 5. And this particular change order accounts for 6 individual items on the project, 2 related to building drainage, 2 related to some electrical items, 1 related to some additional accessories in the bathrooms that the sheriff's office asked for, and the last item related to the repairs to some of the flooring in the 1970s portion of the building where the old north-south section was housed. Total change order amounts to $101,317.48, sorry. Again, this would be the 5th change order on the project to date. The commissioners have approved 4 change orders in the amount of $554,326.83. Based on the original contract amount of $17,635,435. To date, we approved 3.1% in change orders. If change order 5 is approved, it will bring the total to $655,644, which will be 3.72% of the contract amount, which for a project of this scale, I feel like is a good number. But again, that's just my opinion. Welcome your opinion. But again, today, the item I have before you are these 6 items in the amount of $101,317.48. If approved, the budget will effectively, we will have about a little less than $10,000 left in our construction line item and about $3,000 left in our contingency line item. There are some additional items that have been identified, have yet to be fully quantified on the project. That could amount to another $100,000 in change orders, the most significant of which involves reconstruction on the ramp, the back of the jail. But again, for a project of this size and scope, and a project that entails renovation of a building built in multiple phases, some of which is 50 years old, I think that the designers have done a reasonably good job. Could they have done better? Yes. Some of the items in this change order are items that they missed. Other items are ones that really could not be fully evaluated and quantified until the project was underway and the issue identified and solutions evaluated and pricing provided. So with that said, I've said a lot, but with that said, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of Mr. Boone on this item?
Did I hear you say in there that this would be the last one?
This would.
No, he didn't say that.
The last change order.
I would love to be able to stand here and say that.
Yeah. So what's causing 4 change orders at one time?
No, sir, I'm saying to date, the commissioners have approved 4 change orders. I'm bringing forward change order 5. I was just trying to provide you some context, some history of what has been done up to today. Today, I'm bringing you change order 5.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Wilkins.
Mosley Architects, I mean, this is the 4th one, correct?
This will be the 5th one, if it's
The
approved.
5th one. I mean, is it because it wasn't included initially, evidently, but is someone requesting additional work from
Okay.
our department or from our
So to give you an example, and again, we're at change order 5, so there's been a number of items that we have addressed up this point, but in this particular change order, the most expensive item is addressing the flooring in the 1970s portion of the building. What the situation we encountered is, and I'm sure there was a good reason for that back in the 1970s, but at that time I was probably celebrating my one-year birthday, so I really can't speak to what happened. But what we found out when we went into that portion of the building to demolish the cells that were there, when the building was constructed, they constructed the building, they put in the cord slab, the concrete slab, they installed the metal cells, and then they installed the terrazzo flooring. Well, when you go to demolish that, you go into the building, you take the cells away, and you notice that you've got troughs everywhere where there was a common wall between cells. Well, you can imagine across 13 cells on each side, so a total of 26, the floor, again, they finished about an 8 by 10 section at a time in each cell. Go to the next cell, finish the flooring. Well, when you demolish that cell, you went into a trough where the common wall was, and the flooring was not level. So for Daniels and Daniels to go back and just repair that area where the wall was, we would end up with a floor with ripples in it from one end to the other. So what it required in this change order, and what this change order is addressing, had to go in and basically take the flooring down to that concrete slab and then build it back up. Now, could Mosley Architects have identified that issue during the design of the project? I'm not going to say they couldn't, but I don't know that was really probably not a realistic expectation given the scope of the project. Really, until you got into the project, you really couldn't identify that that's the way that the flooring was constructed. But to correct that issue cost the county $57,000. So those are the kind of things you run into when you're trying to renovate an existing building, existing footprint, and renovate it for new use.
And I'm assuming a study was done because it was before I came on this board, how much a new jail would cost as opposed to what we're spending now?
Probably, I want to say if I was multiples, maybe 4 times what we're spending right now. At least 4 times.
Right now, 4 times.
Well, I mean, in this current market, obviously, construction costs are inflated. But even if we were back to pre-COVID times, if we use similar dollars, it would still be probably a multiple of 4.
Thank you.
Other questions from commissioners?
I can't remember exactly, but it seems that I recall the original thinking on the detention facility was going to be around $10 million or so, and a new facility would be like $50 million. So it was actually 5 times more for a new facility, and that's probably where it would be today.
Engineers believe in factor of safety, so I went a little more conservative, I said 4, but 5 is closer to the number at that time.
So you make the math easy, you're 20 now, you're not 20, just make the math easy, you're 100 for a new jail. We could look at Wayne County and see what they're going to spend down there.
Correct.
Other questions, comments? Mr. Belfield?
I just want to make clear, you said we had already approved the 4 change orders, and you are just bringing the cost to us now? Is that what you were saying earlier when I asked?
Prior to today, I have come to the commissioners with 4 change orders that have been approved. If you recall, the first one was actually about $500,000 in credits towards the project, items that were removed from the project. So not all have been pluses, some have been minuses. Unfortunately, most have cost the county more money, but the first one was actually a credit towards the project. But the commissioners have already approved 4 change orders on the project. And I'm coming you today with the 5th change order. And that change order, today's change order, number 5, encompasses 6 items. There's 6 items that make up change order 5. But prior to today, commissioners have already approved 4.
I think the important part of what the board needs to leave here with today is, and a couple of questions I asked earlier, that Mr. Boone has provided good answers for here, is we had a fairly significant contention put in this budget knowing it was renovation, but after today, we have basically used all that contention. He said we had somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 left. He already knows that he's got approximately $100,000 worth of additional change orders that they're working on prices at the current time. And that doesn't mean that will be all of them by any means, because we're really only beginning to move into the renovation phase of the project, and that's generally where you have multiple change orders. So unfortunately, he's going to have the task at least one more time of bringing a significant change order that's not going to have funding in this project budget for it. Therefore, we'll have to find funding for it, but it could be others in addition to that as well. So I think everybody's doing the best they can do. Some of these things, as Mr. Boone said, possibly could have been seen by the architect, and I think some of these coming forward in this next change order possibly could have been seen, but it's not unusual on a total renovation project of this size that you just keep running into things that you didn't anticipate up front. So I hope we're just preparing ourselves to know we will get additional requests coming forward like this. But with that said, I'd entertain a motion for approval or denial of the request.
Move
Make
for
a motion.
approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Outlaw, a second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Motion stands approved, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
All right, moving right along, we are now on item number 16, which is Glover Park improvement. And I'll call on Thomas Gillespie at this time to make this request. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Good morning.
Nash County and the town of Nashville extended the interlocal agreement for athletic sports programs, park maintenance management, and the supervision of Glover Park until June 30th, 2025. In this agreement, it states that the town should allot in their budget $20,000 annually for park improvements at Glover Park during fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. The new agreement also gives the town of Nashville the option to approve projects over the allotted budget, with expenditures being reduced from the next fiscal year allotment. Staff has identified 2 projects for fiscal year 23, which were approved by the town of Nashville at the January 3rd council meeting. The total estimate for the 2 projects is $34,245. The 2 projects identified were the concession stand improvement project and the baseball dugout improvement project. The concession stand improvement project will assist with allowing the concessionaire to serve hot food in the concession stand. Currently, only prepackaged food is allowed to be served out of the concession stand, and per the Nash County Health Department, the concession stand and restroom floors are concrete, and they need to have a seal, paint, or epoxy on those floors. The total project cost is $7,795 for the concession stand improvement project. The baseball dugout improvement project will consist of the installation of metal dugout coverings on baseball fields 1, 2, 3, and 4. Currently, there are no shade structures over each dugout, and by providing the metal dugout roofing, it will provide a safe area for the players to observe the game, and it also keeps the players dry during rain delays. The metal dugout covering will also help reduce temperatures from direct sunlight, and the total project cost is $26,450. Nash County will invoice the town of Nashville $20,000 during fiscal year 23, and on July 1st, 2023, the county will invoice the town of Nashville the remaining balance of $14,245, which will be reduced from fiscal year 24 allotted budget. Staff is requesting a fund balance appropriation of $14,245 for the completion of Glover Park improvement projects during fiscal year 23. And I'll be willing to entertain any questions.
Any questions, Thomas, on this item? Mr. Outlaw?
Just one, do we have metal covers on the dugouts at Red Oak and Coopers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure they were consistent. Thank you.
Other questions? Thomas, do we ever address the fencing issue at the park, or is it still like it was?
Well, staff, we kind of rigged something up. We put some stakes down and got it steady right now, but it's
okay.
We're gonna need to get it fixed here soon. I got our park maintenance manager, Will, he's receiving quotes now since the price has been inflated a little bit more.
Okay, but it's not as bad as it was last time I saw it?
Yeah, it's not as bad, but we got by it this past fall, but we're gonna need to get it done here soon.
Okay. Well, last time I looked at it, it was a pretty bad safety issue, which I think is as important as your floor or your dugout
It
covers.
is.
But if you got a handle, that, of course, I'm fine. All right. Any other questions? Entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Commissioner Leggett, second by Commissioner Belfield. Other questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Motion stands approved, sir, and I appreciate all your hard work with the other entity, governmental entity you deal with on this.
Thank you for your
Have
support.
been a great working relationship. Next item on the agenda is Essential Single-Family Rehabilitation Loan Pool Project Ordinance Amendment Number 3. I'll call on Donna Wood at this time to make this presentation. Donna, he mentioned during his presentation about $14,000 ordinance. Are you covering that, or did that vote cover that?
I'm covering it in my budget
You're going to cover it
amendments.
again? Okay, thank you. That's what I thought needed to happen.
Well, good morning.
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 So what I have before you is a project ordinance amendment. This is for the 2020 Essential Single-Family Rehabilitation Loan Pool. This program targets properties with moderate repair needs which are essential. Eligible households must be in Nash County, including municipalities, and have household income at or below the Nash County 2020 80% medium household income mark. For a family of 4, that would be $44,150. Households must also be occupied by individuals with special needs, elderly, disabled, other than dishonorably discharged military veteran, or a child with elevated lead levels. The Nash County 2020 Essential Single-Family Rehab Loan Pool program was approved for modification on December 2nd, 2022. The modification increased the allocated funding from $400,000 to $458,872, which increases the number of homes that can be repaired to a minimum of 11. The attached grant project ordinance amends the project to increase the funding allocation and related costs.
Any questions of Ms. Wood on this? Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, second by Commissioner Belfield. Questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Item number 17 is approved. I'll move to item 18, which is budget amendments. Ms. Wood?
Okay, I have before you 6 budget amendments I'm requesting approval on. The first one is with senior services. This budget amendment is to budget additional grant funds for the Senior Health Insurance Information Program, $6,254. No county funds are required. Next item is with Cooperative Extension Farmers Market. This amendment is presented to budget funding from the DeLeon Carter Foundation and the Ag Carolina Farm Credit to support the Nash County Farmers Market and its mission. It's a total of $5,000. No county funds are required. The next item is with Building Security. This amendment is to budget additional funds to support the Building Security Department. When the original Building Security budget was submitted for approval for fiscal year 2023, the setup of this department was not finalized to support a full-time position. This amendment budgets additional funds to the Building Security Department to cover a full-time position through the end of the fiscal year. It's requesting $48,700 from fund balance appropriation. The next item is emergency services. This amendment is presented to budget funding received from through the Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant Program from the North Carolina Department of Public Safety. The grant funding will be used to conduct a regional hazardous materials commodity flow study to identify the types and amounts of hazardous materials transported into, out of, within, and through a specified geographic area of Nash and Edgecombe counties and the city of Rocky Mount. It's $20,000. No county funds are required. The next item is with our Recreation Department. This amendment makes funds available to cover park improvement expenses approved for the fiscal year 2023 Glover Park interlocal agreement between the town of Nashville and Nash County. It's requesting $14,245 from fund balance appropriation. The remaining amount will come from the town of Nashville. And the final item I have is with federal asset forfeiture funds. This amendment is to budget asset forfeiture funds for the purchase and outfitting of a vehicle, informant projects, and travel and training. The vehicle purchase price has been offset by a trade from a surplus vehicle originally purchased with asset forfeiture funds. It's a request for $50,000, but these are not county funds.
Any questions on either of these 6 budget amendments?
Just got one question, probably for the manager on number 3, building security. This is for current security, right?
Yes, sir.
But it's on our radar for the upcoming budget to look at
Yes, sir.
additional support in that area.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, comments? I know, not in ARP, but maybe in CARES Act, we had a line item for security that we were working against doing some of the improvements. Have we expended all of those funds at this time?
They have been.
Have been, okay. All right. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the 6 budget amendments.
Move for approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Outlaw, second by Commissioner Leggett. Any questions on that motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Wood.
Thank you.
Next regular item, on the last item, regular item on the agenda is for board appointments. I call on Scott Rogers at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. I have 2 items for your consideration. The first is the NEW Board of Directors, formerly known as NEED. The request is to reappoint Ms. Stacy Schatzer to her seat on that board. The second item is a request from the town of Nashville to appoint a ETJ member as well as an ETJ alternate to their planning board. Respectfully, the alternate member would be Dennis Evans, and the alternate would be Brian West.
All right, let's take them one at a time.
Okay.
The first one being our manager put back on the new board of directors. Any questions on that one? Entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
I don't know who said all of that. Motion by Commissioner Leggett, second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any questions on that motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign, and I'm assuming the manager agreed to continue serving on the board.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you've done a great job on that. I did notice in studying something else the weekend, we still have 3 vacancies on that board. Are they Nash counties or another counties or cities?
On the new board, no, I think we need to update the spreadsheet. We're good.
You're full.
We are.
You spread, it's not the spreadsheet I was looking at, it was something on our iPad that shows all the boards and who's on all the boards and what pay they receive. And on that one, it showed 3 vacancies. You might, in fact, that whole window probably needs an updating because it
Okay.
didn't update some of the commissioners' terms and things like that.
Okay.
You just look at that, and it's under the program where we get everything else from.
Okay.
All right, the other one is the Town of Nashville Planning Board, ETJ. Any questions on this one? You got one for the Planning Board, it looks like, and one for the Board of Adjustments as well.
No, sir. Yes, sir, you're correct. That is right. One is ETJ member on the planning board, and one is a alternate for the Board of Adjustments.
Okay. Any questions on this one? Entertain a motion for approval.
Motion approved.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett, second by Commissioner Combs. Questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries as well. Anything else, Scott?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, we are now on item number 20, which is commissioner comments. Anything any commissioner wishes to bring before the board? Mr. Wilkins.
I have really 2 things. On December 11th, a telecommunicator in the city of Rocky Mount lost her life to someone who later was charged with DWI, and the life of her son, Natanya Richardson. And I give my condolences to the family and the telecommunicators, but I just want to thank Nash County telecommunicators who stepped up to the plate and began dispatching city's 911 calls to allow crisis health professionals to speak with the coworkers and other personnel. So I thank our 911 telecommunicators in Nash County for stepping up to the plate. I can only imagine the emotions that happened that night. And lastly, I just want to recognize all our law enforcement and thank them for today is National Law Enforcement Day. Thank you for your service and what you do to keep everyone safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkins. Other comments from board members? Mr. Allen?
Just two things. We've been talking about mid-month meetings. We've got the Farm City Life video and presentation slated to be the inside presentation, and we're looking at a couple of options for outside, and the manager will be pursuing option A, which I think we said would be Cummings, and then option B, if Cummings would not be available, would be North Carolina Wesleyan. Second thing I want to mention, are we planning to have a Citizens Academy this year?
Yes, and I can speak with Jonathan. We actually are transferring that responsibility to our communications department from Ms. McGee, and so I can get an update from him.
I've got some interest in that. Some people have reached out to me, so I just wanted to get that on the radar as well, and I'll reach out to Jonathan and give him the name of what I've got.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Other comments from Commissioners? All right, I only had the housing report, which I know interests me. I hope it interests the rest of the board. But last month, we did issue a little over $6 million worth of permits for commercial work, and our housing new starts was down considerably, but it generally is in the month of December. It was down to 16 new houses throughout the county. So still a lot more than we had years ago, but it has trended downward some. And with that said, I will turn it over to our manager for the manager report.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
I will point out that our facilities folks, Mike Phillips, did honor the request and got you all some new signage in front of your seats so that you are appropriately named now. So I thank them for working on that. And Janice, thank you for ordering the signage for us here, and we've got those for the rest of the board as well. When we travel to meetings, joint meetings off-site, we've got some nice signage for everyone, so thank you. For the co-responder program for December, there were 12 referrals. 8 of those were DSS and 4 of those were Sheriff's Office. As you are aware, COT Systems, which hosts our electronic documents for the Register of Deeds, suffered a cyber attack and has not been accessible for a couple of weeks. Wednesday morning last week, the system was back up. However, with the amount of traffic on the system, coupled with their continuing to run their forensic analysis due to the cyber attack, the system went down in protection mode due to a lack of storage. As you are aware, and I sent you some information last night, their attempts to obtain additional storage, they have run into some roadblocks. And at this time, we do not have a timeline for that system to be fully restored. So the Register of Deeds is continuing to operate in a manual mode, and I did ask Ms. Davis to join us in case you had any questions about that.
Any questions on this item while Ms. Davis is with us?
Okay.
I certainly want to thank that department, Ms. Davis, for all they've been able to do thus far. I know they have not had a happy time down there. No. Couldn't have been, quite frankly. And of course, some of the commissioners received some calls, and because I know so many real estate agents, to who were trying to close things before Christmas, so they would have Christmas money, I guess. I'm not sure what brought the influx of calls, but a lot of those people I do know, I had quite a few calls about it as well, but I think we're now have got them understanding what we can do, what we can't do, and I appreciate all the work down there.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
And just give them a look at a page, and we will put those on the system when it comes back up, and the time and date that we receive.
But that does allow them to record if the attorney allows them to record and he thinks sufficient title search. Now, there's a little hiccup there if he hadn't done the title search, which he still can't do it. So some closings have happened, as I understand it, through the agents that have called me. Some of them can't, but it's not on our end because we cannot. Did I say that right, Ms. Davis?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to give you all an update on the commemorative courtyard. We've run into some spacing issues. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask you one question about the, remember back during our budget session, part of the register deeds, software update and stuff, did we discuss that during our budget session, whether we upgraded that, or is that part of the same? That's just a question.
No, we didn't have an item for updating software for Register of Deeds.
Okay, all right.
It may be good for you to update the board on what we are looking at moving forward.
And I can do that now.
Briefly, you don't need to say a lot because I know we're not too far into it.
We did look at another county that uses COT and has not been affected like we have, and that's because internally that county is hosting that data. So we have an option. We have an option to either pay COT to host and hold onto our data, or we could do it internally. It's if Nash County were to get attacked, then we would be in the same boat. So I think we'll be looking at that as we move forward, especially once they get their system restored, and make a decision moving forward if we want to host that data ourselves or continue having COT host it.
My understanding is the other county is just doing it as a backup, maybe? Is that right?
No, they're hosting their data
hosting their own.
completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's some way, maybe as a backup, we might could do it and give us 2 outs, but that's up to y'all.
Yeah, that's a little out of my league, so I will speak with our IT department about those possibilities.
It was obvious it causes major disruption throughout the county when it happens.
Absolutely.
We've got so used to having everything at our fingertips, it's just teaching us a little lesson about patience.
Right.
And it don't always work just like we want it to.
Right.
Very true.
Right. So my next item was about the commemorative courtyard. We are running into some spacing issues. As you all know, we've got 3 pavers that are out there now, and they're all on the same row. The 2 pavers that we need to have installed would be on another row, and we have determined that we need to hit the pause button. Tomorrow, there is staff coming from the Monument Company to do some measuring for us and to give us a quote for actually filling in an amount of space with those granite pavers, so that as we continue to move forward and add to the commemorative courtyard, we don't have the spacing issues that we're having right now. So those pavers are ready, and they have tried to install them, and they've had to resize them, and we are still identifying that we're just going to keep making problems for ourselves moving forward if we don't just kind of do a redesign and do it right so that it looks like it should look. So that's what the holdup is on getting those pavers and having ceremonies for those. The Economic Development Alliance has scheduled a tour, and that is this Thursday, the 12th, from 8:30 to 11:30, and they're meeting at Nash Community College. We have 3 commissioners that are on the alliance, and so I just need to kind of poll the board and find out if at least one more of you plans to attend. If so, we won't adjourn this meeting today. We will recess this meeting today. So was there another commissioner that's not on the alliance that wanted to attend that tour?
Well, I read what the tour was consisted of. I think I might.
Okay. Okay, so I think to be safe, we'll just recess the meeting today. Okay, very good. We will hold our 2023 Management Team Retreat on Friday, January the 20th at the Agriculture Center. This is for department heads and many of our deputy directors. We've got a full day planned. The training committee has put together a nice agenda for the day, so just a heads up, Friday, January 20th, if you want to find a department head, we will be at the Ag Center together, so please reach out on their cell phone. And there's a second meeting of the month in January, January 23rd, and Mr. Outlaw, I think you covered what I was going to say there. And then I wanted to let you know that Scott and I will be attending the North Carolina City and County Management Association Winter Seminar, January 31st through February 2nd. And that's all I have.
Any questions of manager on any item there?
The commemorative courtyard, do we have any names for this January, or are they being presented on the 23rd?
So the application period opened January 1 and will close the end of March.
Okay.
So that's the application period, and then once we get into April, you all will be able to evaluate those applications.
I have submitted one name thus far. Do I need to officially do that somehow?
I will work on that.
Okay, okay. Well, if you want me to get a form filled out, just let me know what to do.
Okay,
And then I think we actually got one we rolled.
That's right.
yes.
All right.
Good.
Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, one question to the manager. A couple of months ago, I asked you about the equity inclusion policy. Any update work on that?
That is one of the policies that our policy committee is working on.
We have a work session at retreat.
Oh, and yes, so at the management team retreat, one of our sessions is on DEI as well. Thank you.
Other questions? No other questions. The next item on the agenda is to go into closed session, and the closed session will be for economic development matters, and matters of attorney-client privilege, and performance of an employee. Then we will return to this chambers to actually recess our meeting until Wednesday morning at 8:30. No other items to bring before the board in public. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Ariston. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Outlaw. Questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. We stand recessed to go into closed session.